Hi guys, at the time of the making of this video, a petition on a government website has attracted 1.7 million signatures. How many of those are bots and from Russia has yet to be identified. But the worst part of all of this is that people think a petition can change the result of the election. Those who went to the website to add their names should look at another petition that garnered about 6 million signatures. It was about undoing Brexit, which is about to happen any time now. Anyway, no doubt the likes of Farage will claim that this is the British people showing their anger, something his friend Ben Habib claimed when he appeared on Reform UK friendly GB News.
He calls it stability. Ben Habib.
Well, I don't think this petition will result in a general election, even if it got, to 9.7 million people voting in favour of another election. That's the same number of votes that Labour got, so that would be interesting. But I think there's people say to me, Ben, there's no chance of this government giving up its huge majority, no matter what happens between now and 2029. And I don't agree. I think that there are pressures that can come to bear that could force this government back to the electorate. And the most obvious one is a collapse in the economy. And I think some of the measures taken by Rachel Reeves already are not playing out the way she expected them to play out. Sterling, I don't know if people are watching, but sterling is down 7% against the dollar in the last 3 months. That's a very significant move in sterling. And that's not a general strengthening of the dollar. That is sterling weakening on its own. That is basically people saying they don't want to buy British products. They don't want to buy British debt, British investments. And a crucial component of this government being able to finance itself is foreigners buying British bonds. And they don't need to buy British bonds. You know, most people, as investors, have to have some exposure to US treasuries because the dollar is the currency of the world. But the sterling isn't. It's not the reserve currency of the world. So people don't have to buy our bonds. And there's a very, very real possibility that she's got her numbers wrong, that she will need to borrow more money than she says she's going to have to borrow, that growth will go through the floor. It will be in a recession. In fact, all the indicators are that we're heading into a recession. Unemployment will rise. And even if they put up interest rates, they won't be able to get people to buy British government bonds. Then you have the United Kingdom going off to the IMF, cap in hand, saying, please, can we have a bailout? And that would be a disaster for any government. And I think that you can then force a general election on a government if they absolutely collapse the economy.
Okay, look, this guy has run, I don't know how many times, 2 or 3 times for Parliament. He obviously doesn't understand how Parliament works. Who would force a general election on the government? See, there are only, as far as you know, 2 ways for the government, for a general election to take place. It's for the Prime Minister to call the date, or it's for a no confidence vote to pass. So if a majority of MPs in the House of Commons decide we have no confidence in the government will collapse because the government will not be able to get its policies through. So this would force a general election. But this would be Labour MPs. Labour MPs would have to have no confidence in the government to bring it down. It's not sufficient for Reform UK to complain. It's not sufficient for the Conservatives, for all the other opposition parties at the moment. They cannot force the government to collapse through a no-confidence vote or a confidence vote. So we've seen it before, how Boris Johnson lost a confidence vote within his party, but he didn't lose it in Parliament. Because the Conservatives, and like Labour, preferred to have their party in power than to have the opposition in power. So it's going to be... we're going to have to wait a very, very long time for a situation where Labour have lost a significant number of MPs through by-elections, where they have lost a significant amount of their majority, where it comes to a situation where Keir Starmer's government or whoever's Prime Minister at the time loses a confidence vote. Because we're talking about the government losing the confidence vote, not just the Prime... Because the Prime Minister can be replaced and the government will remain in place. But you'd need the government to lose a confidence vote in Parliament for it to collapse and then an election to be called. Or the Prime Minister decides we're going to call the election. but it's likely to be in 2028 or 2029. A petition is not going to change that. We've already seen it with another petition, as I mentioned at the beginning. A petition to undo Brexit. How's that going? Did Parliament listen to that? Did the Conservative government listen to that petition? Did the current Labour government listen to that petition? No. So you can petition as much as you want. It's not going to change the result. It's not going to force another election. As I said, the only thing that would really force an election is a majority of Labour MPs deciding we have no confidence in this government. But they know as soon as they do that, it would result in the Conservatives getting back into power. And it's going to be very difficult to convince Labour MPs that that's in their interest. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.